In this video we're going to look at different elements of servicing this Yamaha 3 horsepower Malta 2-stroke outboard. Okay, so on this Yamaha Malta we're now going to look at the water pump, which requires the removal of the lower unit. So we've got a few tools here. I've got a flat blade screwdriver, some pliers, socket, 10mm, and a 10mm spanner. We need to remove this little cover which disconnects the shift linkage, which is connected to the gearbox. So remove that and we can then disconnect. We're going to take this split pin off, which allows us to take the prop off, and then we'll tilt the engine up, and there's 3 10mm bolts that we need to remove. So it shouldn't be too complicated. I've then got a full water pump that we can replace and get this engine working in top condition again. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove this split pin. It's quite a small one, so we'll just grab a hold of one of the ends here and just bend them up and try and squeeze both of these split ends together. Rotate it over, grab the end and then just pull it through. We'll not be reusing that, we'll fit a new one. And this end cap can just come off. Looks like there's possibly a washer in there, and the prop comes clean off. And we can see the seal inside there and the splines. Now we're clear to lift the engine up and have a look at these bolts underneath. Just before we do that, I'll just pop this cover off and we'll disconnect the shift linkage. So we'll just get our flat blade in there and we just need to lever that little cover off. Now we can see inside, and that looks to be, yeah, that's a 10mm socket for that as well. We'll just slacken that off. You don't have to undo it fully, just enough so it releases the grip of the lower rod. Normally the upper one connected is captive with sort of like a beveled end, so it stops it from dropping off. So I'll slacken that off a couple of turns, and then we can tilt the engine up and get the lower unit off. So I've just undone that, and a good way to test whether it's undone is just to click it in and out of gear, and you'll see the rod move and the gearbox side will just stay behind. So there's no movement down the lower one, and the upper one goes up and down. So I know that's free to come off now. So looking underneath here, we've got this 10mm, another one here, and another one here, and then we've got the anode here as well. We might take this off because sometimes, depending on the engine, the bolt runs through into the case as well. I'm not sure if this is the case on this one, but we'll take the anode off as well, just to be safe. So we're going to remove 4 bolts. So I'll just remove the first one, which is the trim, and the bolt is long enough that it looks like it does penetrate into this upper case. I might be wrong, we'll not know until we take it off, but I've removed that as well. So we've got 4 bolts we'll take off. So top one's done. You can see that there's a locating tab for the anode, and we'll just go ahead and remove those 3, and then the engine gearbox should slide off. So that's all the bolts out, all 4. I'll just give it a tap. Might need some manipulating to come out if it's not been out for a while, because it can get stuck, but we'll give it some light taps around this ventilation plate here, and we should start seeing a gap forming here, and the whole thing will slide away. So I've just got a soft faced mallet here. There we go, 1 tap and it's out. There we go. And now we can put this in the bench and work on the water pump. So with the water pump on the stand here, the first thing we need to do is just remove these 4 bolts. So we're using the M10 or 10mm socket. We'll just take each one of these out. Okay, so that's all 4 bolts taken out, and the keeper plates come with them. We can now lift the housing up and off the drive shaft and put that to one side. So this kit comes with everything apart from this housing here. It even comes with this new pipe. I've got new bolts, just this black housing, because everything inside is replaceable. We've now got the impeller, which we should be able to slide up and off. There's a few little burrs on the shaft. We've got the impeller off. First look at the impeller. It's in good condition. Obviously it's deformed, but we're not missing anything. On the shaft down here we've got the keeper, which keeps the keyway, which keeps the impeller bonded to the shaft. And we've got the lower wear plate with some locating dowels. Okay, so the next thing, we're going to have to take this lower wear plate off, but to do that we need to remove this little grub's keyway. Just pull that out. We can then lift this plate up. So that's the lower wear plate, and that's what the impeller rides on. We'll just have a look inside here. There's no debris or anything like that, so that's all good. So we've got the new wear plate, and we're going to put it on in the same orientation. We've got a hole here and a hole here, and it only goes on one way because it has to align with these dowels. We can then put in the keyway for the impeller. Strangely enough, the kit that I've got comes with everything apart from a new keyway, which is a bit strange. Whether it was missed in the packing, because you really shouldn't reuse these because they can bend over and fatigue. So now we've got the new impeller, which is in this little bag here. I say it's strange that that piece doesn't come, because it comes with new bolts and plates and everything. Now we can, before I push it down, obviously there's a index for where the impeller has to go, and it'll only sit flush when it's sitting over that keyway. So that's the impeller down. We can now move on to the impeller housing, and this inner wear cup has to come out because we're going to reuse the housing, but this part wears as well, so we have to pop this silver piece out and then we can replace it with the new one. So there's a few ways of doing it. Quite often you can just get a screwdriver through the face there and just tap it out, which is probably what I'll do. So I've just popped it out, and there's a little O-ring around there which I've got to replace. This is the back side of it. It's not really that relevant because obviously nothing's wearing in it, but we'll just put a bit of anti-seize. We'll smear that around just so the next time we come to do this, it comes off a bit easier. There's a little notch there which sits in there. Once it's in, it's flush. We've then got the new O-ring, which is basically instead of a gasket for sealing it. And there we are, that's that O-ring pressed in. There are little grooves that it sort of clips into, but I find if you just give it a little stretch, a little pull, it'll sit lovely in there. And then we're just going to slide this down over the drive shaft. Obviously it's got some dowels to locate it so you can't put it in the wrong way, and then we'll tighten it down. So I'll just show you it going down. See, as it goes down, we're just making sure that O-ring doesn't pop out. Not that it should. And with these impellers, I just like to push it straight down and over the top. And once the engine turns, the impeller will seat itself. I'll put some anti-seize on these bolts. And all I want to do is just get some compression on there so that O-ring doesn't pop out. The last thing is I've just got this this pickup tube, so we can just pop that off, and we can just orientate that back in there. It might need some, because these little lugs here, it might just need pressing in a little bit, but that will go in there, and that's what the water pickup tube slots into. These can be a little bit tight, a bit of a nuisance, and we just make sure that those little tabs protruding on the sides. That's in there. So these don't have to be crazy tight. Now we'll just clean up the shaft here and this drive shaft. You'll see on the top here we've got a spline. We'll clean that up, put a bit of anti-seize on, and then we can reinstall it. So that's it for the impeller, for fitting it with the gearbox off. And now it's just a case of putting it back on. I find this is the most tricky bit, reinstalling it, especially these smaller ones, because you've got to align the drive shaft top, which we haven't turned, so it should slide back into the power head. We've also got to get the shift linkage back in and the pickup tube, which can be a bit of a pain getting all three in and then getting the bolt in as well, but we'll give it a go. Just for curiosity, that top one there is for the anode, so there was 4 bolts, and we've got a dowel there. The water pickup tube is loose, which is quite annoying, and so is the shift linkage. So we've got to align 2 things that are floating and get it all in one go, which can be quite frustrating. But we'll give it a go, and once I've got it in, I'll show you. Right, that's the gearbox back in there. It took me about 5 minutes. I've got 1 bolt in there, and we've got the shift linkage reattached. One thing to be careful of is when you're pushing this up, it doesn't jump into gear. So just check it once you're done. Click it in and out of gear and turn here. I'm okay, we're in neutral, but it did jump once or twice. So we've got 1 bolt in. We're going to lube up these ones with some anti-seize, and we'll get them all back in, and then we can clean up the prop shaft here, put the prop back on, and then we can just do the gear oil. We'll do the gear oil in a separate video. But for now, that's the lower unit and impeller on a Yamaha Malta 3 horsepower. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos.